Hey, what's up, folks? If you're watching this, you probably saw the unclaimed funds training that I did about a year ago. And in that video, I just detailed the process of what I would do if I was doing unclaimed funds in the state of California and how I would search for people. And really, the reason I did that was just to help the average guy or gal that wants to find money for themselves or their family members. However, a big number of questions came from, well, big for me, I guess, but questions came from people that really want to do this as a business. And that is what I do. For the past 10 years, I've been an unclaimed funds professional, and I have done all different types of funds, different sources. And I will say that the state unclaimed funds is not something I usually do. And I think I mentioned that in the video, that I'll generally like search there as a courtesy for my existing clientele. So if I am representing somebody for a different type of fund, I'll also check just to see if they have unclaimed funds within the states that they've lived. And I think it's a great idea for everybody to do that. But I wanted to take some time and answer some of the questions. Had a bit of caffeine, and I figured let's just go ahead, and I've been meaning to do this, and it's been a while, so let's just get into it. So first question I have, and it's in no particular order. Jackie asks, how could you help people or make money by helping people? I just brutalized that question. How could you make money helping people? Well, it's pretty simple. You can charge a fee for money that you find that belong to other people or their heirs if they've deceased. Now I'm oversimplifying. Obviously, you have to have a contract in place, and you have to know the rules and the laws that are regulating every source that you're dealing with. In the state of California and a lot of other states, they have a website that really details what you're supposed to do as a finder or a locator, and what is the fee that you're able to charge. So there's a statutory fee sometimes, especially in state types of funds, where in California, for example, you're limited to 10%. Other states are going to be different. There are some states that allow you to do 20%, some 5%. Some don't even say what the percentage is, which means it's open. So it's between you and the potential client as to what your percentage is. Let me get to the next question. Anthony, how am I able to make money doing this as a business? Or am I able to? Yeah, you're definitely able to. Now, it just depends on, what your system is, what types of funds that you're going after. And I would definitely say you should get trained up on this, or work with somebody that has experience in handling the types of funds that you want to work on, or something similar that you can then apply to a state that you're in, or a locality. Generally helps to be around there. You don't have to be in the same state, but sometimes there's rules. So again, going back to that, find out what the rules are. Before you do anything, find out what the rules are. I had somebody reach out to me that was interested in working on cases in a particular state, and there was a cap, a limit on how much you were able to recover. So it didn't work similar to a lot of other states. So you got to know what that is to know if it's going to be profitable, because even if it's a lower cap on how much money you can actually receive for the type of funds that you're dealing with, maybe if you're able to do a volume, it makes sense to go ahead and do it. Maybe you can find another way that that makes sense. And these caps, all of these things that where they make it difficult for finders sometimes to get a higher fee on a type of fund. They do them, these governmental agencies do this as a way to protect the consumer. And really, I'll go on a soapbox here. The protection, it's great to protect the consumer, but sometimes these funds are years and years old, and they're never going to find out about them had you not gone out and found the funds, found them, did all this legwork, and they know people aren't going to do that for 10%. So it's in their best interest, these governmental agencies, to kind of set these bars or set these limits on finders to where they're not recovering that money for people. And that's just my personal opinion. If you disagree, if you're with a governmental organization that sets these types of fees, I'd love to talk to you and convince me otherwise. So let's go on to another one. Nate asks, how do you claim funds for others that you do not know? I was curious on the step-by-step process with contracts and how to input the claim. If I have a contract, which drop down do I select if I'm not the heir? So he's talking specifically about, I guess, California. You're going to need to create a contract or an agreement. And if you're not an attorney, you might want to talk to an attorney. Or again, if you're working under somebody that does this for a living, you'll probably be able to extract your own agreement or contract with them or work under their contract. So there's ways around it. The step-by-step process and everything else, again, goes back to the rules. Know what those rules are. You don't want to jump into anything that you don't know anything about. Another reason why is, what if you go after some funds, you contract with somebody and you mess it up? Maybe it's a type of fund that has an expiration date, a statute of limitations, and you do it wrong, or you don't file on time, and they were depending on you to get that money for them, and they could have gone to somewhere else or someone else, but you screwed it up. Are you liable for that money? That's a legal question. Are you liable for that $100,000 that they would have gotten, but you screwed it up? So really good thing to think about. Jim Kenny asked me, what about Georgia? Georgia, yeah, well, I know people that have done Georgia and have made money in Georgia. I didn't do my training on Georgia, but it would function. The state held funds would probably function very similarly to this, but you'd want to look into it. Okay, here's a question from somebody that looks like they've been doing this type of work for a while. Valerie asks, I'm finding people, but they don't trust me. Well, that's how they make me feel. They don't respond to emails, phone calls, or letters. It's not that easy. I went to a lady about 3 miles from where I live, and she had 75 unclaimed funds or sources of unclaimed funds, and I have no deal with her. Well, it's not easy. Okay. It's not a simple thing. You still have to be able to sell, and you still have to be able to connect with people. So if you're no good at sales and you want to get into this business, it's probably not a good business unless you're working with somebody that is. And sometimes the people that have these unclaimed funds, sometimes you can be great at sales, and sometimes they are not. How do I put this mildly? They're not playing with a full deck. There's a reason why these funds are there. Every fund that you see is there because of some sort of a problem that occurred, that they were not notified, or they were notified and they chose not to go after these funds. Or maybe there's some other problem, and they're afraid of maybe money affecting their Social Security, or there's a whole bunch of reasons why somebody may not go after funds. Sometimes it's fraud. I found fraud, uncovered some crazy stuff in doing this type of work, and that's kind of fun, especially when you put the fraudsters away and work with the DAs. Clarissa asked me, is there a way to search as a broad search and be able to send out letters to people and make money doing it? There definitely is. If you can technologically, get into that database somehow and do a broader search, or work with that data in a way that allows you to do that, then you could definitely do that. I know that there are companies that are out there, and that's all they're doing is sending blasting letters out, and they're sending out contracts of adhesion, which is like, you get an agreement, everything's stipulated, all the information's populated in there, and they said, hey, we found your money, sign it and we'll do it. And people sign it sometimes. Carl asks, how do I put on contract if it just says under or over XYZ, which I guess means a number. Like let's say it's over 5,000 and is more than 1. I might not have completely. So if you don't know the exact figure and you're putting an agreement together and you want to consult with your attorney on this, you want to put that it's an approximate amount. That's a way around that. Another question from Sandra. Do you partner with those of us who do surplus funds? So surplus funds is a different type of funds that are out there. I've done a lot of them. You know, it depends. It really depends. I would want to talk to you. I'd want to understand what your background is. There's a lot of people that know just enough to be dangerous. And so I don't know, you know, I'm kind of a picky person when it comes to partnering with people. And, you know, I'd want to make sure you were trained up. I would want to make sure you knew your stuff. Because my main goal in doing this is making sure that everything is done correctly from start to finish, that if I'm representing a client, or if I'm part of that process, that everything is done correctly. I don't want anything coming back to me. You know, mistakes can happen, but I want to eliminate mistakes. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, and I'm not interested in making a mess for somebody. You know, the whole point of this, yes, it's a business, and yes, you make money, but it's pretty awesome when you find money that people are entitled to. You get them that money, you solve the problems, because there's a lot of problems that are tied up sometimes in these funds. And you know, at the end of the day, they get their pot of gold, and it's because of everything that you did. So that's the best. That is the best when you really deliver. Finally, I have a question. You need to have a private investigator license for Texas. Do you think that I could possibly work under you for the state? I'm in Texas, by the way. Well, I am not licensed in Texas. I may be at some point, but if you want to work under a PI where they have a regulation, you have to be a PI in order to work on the funds. You'd want to make sure they were in that state. So that is not me. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I hope this answers your questions. Yeah, good luck to everybody.